The Gods Themselves, written by Isaac Asimov, Book 3, Contend in Vain. Selena is a native Lunarite. She's a tourist guide, mainly responsible for receiving tourists from Earth who come to the moon to travel. Today, as usual, she settles down the Earthlings who are embarrassed because they don't adapt to the gravity of the moon. Earthlings, the Lunarites called Earth people secretly. But even with all the disgust for Earthlings, Selena also continues to maintain a good professionalism and always smiles to remind herself that she may fly very far if she can't control herself. After a while, a 50-something-year-old Earthman who has been ravaged by gravity comes to Selene and expressed his desire to visit the proton synchrotron. As soon as she heard about this place, Selene then subconsciously paid more attention to him, but it's not too much of a concern. And the proton synchrotron is controlled by the Earth Federation. Visitors are not allowed to enter, so there's no choice but to help him get lucky. After coming home from work, Selene finds out that Baron has come without invitation. Selene started to complain to Baron about the Earthlings who were covered with bacteria and sagging skin. And mentioned, by the way, there's an Earthling who wants to visit the proton synchrotron. This caught Baron's attention, and he told Selene, "You better find an opportunity to communicate with him to find out what he's up to. After all, the people who are interested in proton synchrotron must be paid attention to, and on the Earth side today, a new commissioner named Gottstein was also sent. Whether they will still have impact on the planet's synchrotron labs is not sure yet. So at such a critical time, it is more important to pay attention to every suspicious person." Selene thinks Baron is paranoid, but still she said yes. The other side, Gottstein, Earth's new commissioner to the moon, arrives at the residence and makes a handover with the old commissioner, Montez. Montez first taught him some necessary experience of living on the moon, and also explained the most important part, some of the red flags that he noticed during his tenure. Hopefully, he will continue to be vigilant in the future as well. "Does the moon want to go to war with the Earth?" Gottstein joked. The moon colony has more than 10,000 inhabitants, including Earth immigrants and native lunar people. These people lack resources and have tight space. They have no environment to destroy, and there is no life to slaughter, which makes the lunar people have a positive spirit in their bones. Pioneering in various fields without any fears, especially in microelectronics and precision biochemistry. More unprecedented developments have been achieved. They have single-handedly created a new world. While on the contrary, the Earth, since a war shortly after the lunar colony was built, the population plummeted from 6 billion to 2 billion, so that the 2 billion people who survived have more resources. It creates great laziness and loss of the spirit of exploration. In other words, compared with the moon, the Earth keeps going backwards. Didn't Earth also invent the electronic pump, the synchrotron, and the sky telescope? Gottstein questioned. What great achievements those were. What are you saying, that they were useless? First of all, synchrotron and telescope were pre-war achievements, and then the electronic pump. Do you really think that was developed by Hallam? In addition, because of the electronic pump, the inertia of the people on Earth grew stronger. And what about the lunar people? They don't have the electronic pump. Instead, they developed the solar cell all by themselves. Montez gets more and more excited as he talks. Do you know what the biggest threat to the Earth from the moon is? It is that 10,000 of the brightest minds of mankind are gathered here. Gottstein understands Montez's concerns. And this sudden tension also reminded him of a person, a certain Earthman who came to the moon on the very same ship with him. Meanwhile, this man is wandering the streets at the moment, planning what to do next. After all, he didn't come here for tourism. Right at this moment, Selene suddenly appeared in front of him. And after a brief exchanging of greetings, the favorable impression between them was further enhanced. The Earthman confesses he doesn't like the Earth very much and wants to settle on the moon. Then Selene also admitted that them meeting today was not a coincidence, but a specific visit to him, because Baron was very interested in him. That's it. The more they chatted, the more interested in each other they became. Subsequently, Selene also took him to visit the Stadium of the Moon, because the moon's underground spaces was suitable temperature with no bacteria and without influence of worldly ideas. The football game with no influence of gravity impressed him significantly. Just then, a man suddenly came to the stadium looking for him, claiming that the Commissioner Gottstein wanted to see him. The Earthman came to the Commissioner's residence with doubts. Gottstein told him, in fact, they had known each other for a long time. He used to be a subordinate of Senator Bart, and at that time, however, Bart was trying his best to collect negative information about Hallam. He was assigned the task of censoring the electronic pump. Most of them are economic in nature. Of all the accusations against Hallam, one is not against Hallam himself, but against the electronic pump itself. If I remember correctly, I'm afraid this person is you, Dr. Dennison. You used to be an excellent radiochemist. After that, you were suppressed by Hallam and forced to switch to the cosmetics industry. Hallam ruined your scientific career. Dennison heard Gottstein's overtones, emphasizing that his doubts about the electronic pump were based on scientific and rational analysis, not a personal grudge with Hallam. Gottstein didn't get too entangled either and instead mentioned a man named Lamont, someone who has also questioned the electronic pump. Moreover, his statement has recently spread widely through underground channels. Lamont had also been suppressed by Hallam, although humans do not believe, or do not want to believe, that the electronic pump is really dangerous. Dennison knew about this, and he also knew Lamont, but he is not sure what Gottstein is trying to say. So Gottstein started to tell his intention. Since they both have questioned the electronic pump, if Dennison still keeps an eye on that matter, or plans to do further research, then an environment like the moon is far from Hallam. He is willing to help him. But there is a quid pro quo to that. While studying the electronic pump, Gottstein needs his help to understand the current scientific research status of the lunar man. Dennison gets it. Gottstein wants him to act as an undercover agent. He did not refuse, nor did he agree. The two thus reached a tacit agreement. Dennison didn't expect that his supposed secret trip to the moon had turned out to be so noticeable. First, the beautiful guide Celine, although she is very frank and with no malice. Then it is the Commissioner Gottstein. In addition, another man named Baron came early the next morning. He claims to be Celine's boyfriend, serving in the synchrotron laboratory, also a native-born lunar man. Again, the stories between Dennison and Hallam was chatted. Baron also proposed to cooperate with him, because the whole moon is a victim of Hallam. There's no electronic pump on the moon, therefore the research for energy has to give priority to use proton synchrotrons, which is also controlled by Hallam. To preserve his reputation as the father of the electronic pump, Hallam certainly does not allow the moon people to use it. Therefore, the Lunarites can only use solar cells. The downside of solar cells is that they have to be close to the sunlight, so the Lunarites can only live near the surface. Although Dennison doesn't know what's wrong with living near the surface, instead of asking, he asked whether Baron knew that the electronic pump also had disadvantages, such as causing the sun to explode. Baron says he doesn't believe it at all, and those were just rumors made up by people out of personal grudges. Dennison clearly disagrees with him and confesses that he wanted to study this theory with the help of the synchrotron lab on the moon. In fact, Baron doesn't care what Dennison wants to do on the moon, nor does he care about his research ability. The reason he was interested in Dennison is because he was a slightly legendary Earthling. Moreover, the Earth Commissioner made an appointment with him, so at least he still has some usable value. It may also be possible to use him to inquire about useful information of the Earth. He finally showed his intentions. In exchange for allowing Dennison to work in laboratories set up by the lunar people themselves, although the synchrotron cannot be used, but at least a laboratory is better than nothing. What Dennison didn't expect afterwards was that the small equipment at the lunar laboratory actually gave him a great surprise. Under the dual surveillance and assistance of the moon and Earth, Dennison conducts his own experiments. During this period, his only friend is Celine, although she is on the side of Baron. But it can be clearly felt that Celine doesn't want to be under Baron's control. Rather, she has her own ideas and thoughts. The two are open and honest with each other, and have everything to say. Relationships are becoming more and more harmonious. One day, Celine took Dennison to the surface of the moon. During the break, Dennison told Selena without reservation the research he is carrying on, including recently using the moon's Meson meter. He managed to obtain experimental data to prove that the nuclear force is indeed getting stronger, and this is also the most direct evidence the electronic pump would cause a sun to explode. But even so, he cannot be as direct as Lamont to confront the world. That's doomed to failure. Celine, on the other hand, expressed her incomprehension against the extra caution. In front of the compelling data, can people still not believe? Dennison says it's not that they don't believe, it's they refuse to believe. Either Baron or the moon or all the people on Earth. They all considered the electronic pump precious. The Earthman does not want to give up endless energy. Lunarites want to use it to replace their solar cells so they can move underground and stay away from the moon's surface. So what's there to do? Celine asks. That's what Dennison is thinking about. Why is it mandatory to abandon the electronic channel? And why must there be two parallel universes? Celine was fascinated by the questions. After a moment of contemplation, she said she wants to guess the meaning of Dennison's questions. We live in our own universe. It is natural to think that this is the only universe that exists, until one day we have discovered parallel universes. But since there's a second, why can't there be a third and fourth? With this question alone, Celine has guessed the idea of the multiverse. This does make Dennison marvel, the cleverness of this beautiful guide. But is that really just intelligence? Back home, Baron is extremely angry. He thinks Celine is too careless and shouldn't have revealed her super prophetic ability. But Celine doesn't care. She didn't think there was anything to hide either. In fact, all this time, Baron was using the role of tour guide to hide Celine, then take her for himself. They have partnered together over the years to work for the future of the moon, or perhaps plotting Baron's own future carefully. But Celine is getting tired of seeing Baron's suspicion and his self-centered personality. On the contrary, Dennison is a frank person, which she appreciates more. This day, Celine asked Dennison out again, and told him Baron, as expected, didn't believe his experimental data, and thinks his data is within the normal margin of error and not really convincing. Celine wants Dennison to tell her what the truth really is. Dennison asks rhetorically, "I should ask you this. What is your intuition telling you?" In fact, this is exactly what Celine is struggling with. Although she showed strong prophetic abilities against many subjects and matters, which even helped Baron to develop the Meson meter, but on the subject of the electronic pump, her ability is not so sharp. Dennison also understands. Although Celine has a rare talent that is enviable, but it is not a miracle after all. It is just a small, special combination in one's genetic arrangements, which helped people show stronger telepathic ability. Genetic engineering has now been federally called off. But no matter what, this capability is indeed at the forefront of science, and it can make a big difference. So he still wants to hear Celine's view on parallel universes. Celine thinks the target of parallel humans' exploration could be the electromagnetic field of our universe, because the electromagnetic field range of the planet is much larger than the target itself and easier to detect. This would explain why it is impossible to establish electronic pumps on the moon, because the moon itself has almost no electromagnetic field. Based on the same principle, since the known parallel universes have a stronger nuclear force, their planet is especially small and has an extremely weak electromagnetic field. Therefore, we cannot detect them. In that case, why do we have to contact them? Why don't we find a more suitable one from other parallel universes that are assumed to exist? The two had the same idea. This day, they are once again on the surface of the moon. Experiments on parallel universes are conducted in a vacuum environment. A small spaceship landed near their experimental site. It's Gottstein. Dennison is not too shocked, because he could guess he has already been under the surveillance of many people. Gottstein looked at Celine and then took a look at their inconspicuous experimental equipment. Speculation is that the experiment has no result yet, only this time he guessed wrong. At this time, just above the instrument, the sky suddenly lit up. A little light, like a distant star. They have detected an overflow of matter from another universe. Your electronic pump is a success. Gottstein looked a little excited. Dennison corrects that it is not an electronic pump, which is a two-way matter substitution, and the one in front of us is a one-way matter spill. The parallel universe on the other side of the electronic pump has a nuclear force too strong that it's causing their stars to be tiny, their magnetic fields to be weak and not detectable at all. But if we think backwards, is there also a universe with a nuclear force close to infinitely small? If there is, then the volume of the star there is infinitely big, as large as the entire universe can be seen as a star, a pre-Big Bang state. This makes it easy to detect. We use equipment as meson meters to adjust the nuclear force in a given environment to a value consistent with the target universe. Thus, it is possible to consider this part of the environment part of the target universe, so a channel is established between the two universes. The opposite side of the matter can then spill over here. This overflow naturally also makes the nuclear force here weaker, thus offsetting the side effects of the electronic pump. It will also make the nuclear force of the target universe stronger, causing an explosion. Just like the Big Bang at the beginning of our universe, the target universe is like a cosmic egg. Not destruction this time. Rather, it is a rebirth of the cosmic. Since then, multiple universes can cooperate in peace. Gottstein was very excited. He hoped Dennison can further advance the experiment, making it more mature, and he will immediately start to get in touch with the Earth side. Celine also told Baron the same theory and results. Actually, that's what Dennison meant. He wanted to invite Baron to join. Baron was also very excited, but he was not looking forward to working with Dennison. Instead, they planned to escape the solar system with the moon. Finally, After a period of debugging, the experimental protocol is mature. Gottstein also presented their results without reservation to Earth. Hallam has fallen as a result, and Lamont's allegation was revoked. It's just a pity that Dennison cannot return to Earth, as he has stayed on the moon for too long. Otherwise, he would have liked to see Hallam's expression at that time. The Earth Federation has decided to establish 3 cosmic egg pumps on the moon, used to neutralize side effects generated by electronic channels on Earth. Additional energy generated can be used by Lunarites under the approval of the Earth government. Barron clearly did not approve of this decision. What is the reason for using the moon's man and material resources to build the cosmic egg pump? However, the energy generated by the pump is controlled by Earth. He expressed his opposition. In fact, this objection is only disguise. The true purpose is just trying to hide his own notorious ambitions. The cosmic egg pump, of course, needed to be constructed, but it is slightly different from what the Earth government is planning. The overflow through the new pump to here is not only endless energy, but also momentum. An object that wants to change its original status of motion needs to throw matter in the opposite direction to obtain momentum, like a rocket liftoff. If enough momentum can be obtained now, does that mean it can push a large enough object? For example, the moon? Barron's idea was infinite momentum from another universe can make the moon fly out of the solar system and escape from Earth's grip, and gain Lunarites' independence. But in a vote held with the Moon Organization, Barron is overwhelmingly defeated. Finally, the vast majority of people believe that those who want to leave should build their own spaceships to leave. Build as much as they want, build as big as they want, but to leave the moon behind. At least there are many people who do not want to leave. For example, Celine. Plans for the cosmic egg pump advance smoothly. The electronic pump also continues to provide energy to both universes. Once again, mankind has survived the crisis unscathed. Dennison still looks a little heavy, because he knows that after the crisis, there's a new crisis. The road ahead is still long. There is still a lot of ruggedness. Celine said to him, "Don't always look at the dark side. There are indeed many difficulties, but there are also many good things. For example, I just got my birth permit."